right, guys. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're gonna go ahead and get started because there is lots to uh do this crop weekend. And you guys earlier had an opportunity to meet with Matt Gray, and we talked about print and customer care. But we have a super sweet treat for you. Our pixie dude, Eric Napier, is in the house. Hey, Eric.
Hello, Tamika. Hello, all of you. How are you?
We are great. And we're kind of just like overly excited because we know that you're going to give us a little sneak peek at our new digitization center at some point today, right? Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's amazing. It already, I'm just seeing that background, and that already looks way different than how it looked when we were up there for Forever Live. So I don't think that was painted yet.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, there
it's
was a lot of work to be done when Forever Live was going on. So it's markedly different than it was then. Yeah. You'll be blown away, I think.
So before you take us on our tour,
Mhm.
we wanted to just have a very quick chat about digitization because this is something that I think everybody can find something that needs needs to be digitized. Right? My mom has a suitcase. Please don't judge. She has a suitcase of photos. We're working on it. We're working on it. But she has a suitcase of photos which need to be digitized. Mary actually just did some digitization and putting it in an album. You do you want to show that, Mary, before we go into the
Yeah, I can real quick. Let me just get the background off. It'll show better. So every year my kids are minimalist, which is great. They don't collect a lot of stuff. So all the traditional albums I have upstairs are going to take too much room. They don't want them. And I had 4 kids, so I didn't make 4 Christmas albums. I made, just one family album, but it was 2 volumes in a traditional album with extra pages in both of them. And so I did the cover here. You can see it's not super thick. And what's really cool about it is they're going to have the pictures that are in here. Let me show you the one that's going to be fun. So they have we did their handprints every year. All of those are in
nice.
there. And this one it's the little blobs over there are Jim's footprints for the year he was born. And so
Aw.
that's what they're getting this year for their special surprise gift. So
That's so awesome.
yeah, I'm pretty excited. They'll be excited. They love the one they got last year. So
So, and those were all from a traditional album that you had digitized?
yes, it was 2 albums total, and they each had an extra set of pages in them. So it was really big. So, taking up this much space on the shelf compared to this much space. So I'll be able to digitize all the traditional albums and they'll still have room in their homes for it. So
Did you use that template from last year that we rolled
I
out?
did. That's
Yeah.
the easiest thing to do. I mean, why would I not do that? It's like someone goes, well, that's going to take you a long time. And I was at a retreat and I'm like, like 45 minutes later, I'm like, I'm done. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, just drag and drop, just drag. They were perfect from the conversion center. I did them without the jeeping. They were perfect. Dragged and dropped them in, made a cover, done.
Awesome. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
so we're hoping a lot more people send their digitization your way because man, now I mean it was great before, but now you have so much more room for more state of the art equipment. And I don't know, I think we're just ready to see what's going on in there. Can
Are
you
you
give
sure?
us
All
a
right.
little?
I think we can do. I'm gonna flip my camera around because this place is a whole lot prettier than me. That's for sure. Um, and I'm just gonna walk you through the whole process of how it comes through the door and goes out the door. Right.
Nice.
We'll just take our time and let me flip around here. And now you're looking at
There
my
we
water
go.
bottle. So over here, this is where the box starts and where it ends. And so when you order a box, we build it right here. This is where we keep, all the boxes that are ready to be built. And they just pull a box from there. They put all the guts inside of it, the booklet, all the baggies and so forth and so on are all underneath the counter here. And so it gets built here. And then our shipping station is right there. And that's where your label gets printed out. And we put them all on a cart and we bring them back here. And this is where the FedEx driver pulls up. And we purposely made this entrance super, super big because, as you know, the weather can be kind of interesting here in Green Bay, especially in the wintertime. And for the last week and a half, we've had nothing but rain. So this gives him the ability to just back right in here. And then we don't have to worry about anything getting wet or, snowed on and that kind of thing. So we load up the truck and he takes off with your box and delivers it, gets delivered to your house. When you fill it up, obviously it comes right back through this door. So you can back up. We put everything on a rack and it goes right through here. That's my electric bike. That's what I take to lunch every day. It comes right through here. And this is the intake area. So this is where your box gets opened up and where they inventory all of the items that you've put in there. And I wanted to show you something cool. A lot of folks don't know. See here. So I pulled this up. This is an old order of Erica Berg's, but just so you know, those barcodes, every time somebody scans that barcode, it leaves a trace. And so we have a history. So the history of your box starts basically right here when they start entering those items into the system. And so every single time somebody touches your box or every single time somebody touches an item in your box, it gets logged. We know who did it, what time it was, what day it was, exactly what was happening, that this was, operation. Somebody was QAing it. We even know when it was scanned, we know what piece of equipment it was scanned on. And the reason why all of this is important, all these timestamps are important, is because if you look everywhere in our warehouse, over top of every single station, there is a high definition camera. So we can log those two things together. So I know when it was scanned and who scanned it and what piece of equipment. And if for some unforeseen reason there's a problem or Allison needs to go check on something, we can also reference the camera. We know exactly what time. We can look at the camera and know exactly what time, down to like if somebody scanned a stamp, something the size of a stamp, I can see that stamp and I can tell you exactly when it was scanned and I can tell you who scanned it and so forth and so on. So that's the important thing. So once it's intake in here, if there are overages, of course, then it goes on that rack back there. And once they're paid for, comes back out here onto the floor. And usually there's racks everywhere. I pulled them off the floor because you wouldn't be able to see anything. So, all the racks are out here on the floor. This is where we keep all of your memories. If it's a video, it's going to be captured along here. Now this is so I think we quadrupled the amount of video that we can run at a time now. And so these are all, VHS players, VHS-C, 8mm, mini DV, Betamax, anything you can imagine, we can run it here. And so we have two technicians and basically two walls here. So one technician is working on this wall and then the other technician is working this wall down here. And so they're just doing tapes all day long. And that's where this is where all the video is. If you have scanning, then the rack is going to come over here. And you can see this is, if you want to see where your album pages were scanned, we have, we have a tech. So one tech works two scanners at the same time. So generally speaking, if you have like 4 or 5 albums in your order, they're working both scanners. They're working one album on one scanner, one album on the other scanner. If you have photos, they're going to be scanned right here at one of these two stations or one of those two stations. And this is our second album page station. So generally speaking, we have 2 techs working all day long on album pages on these 2 scanners. Let's go up front real quick because I want to show you guys our super awesome lobby. It's really nice. We didn't have a lobby in the last building. So this is we're pretty excited about this.
Yeah.
So when we do have walk-in customers come in, this is what they come into. And look at that super jazzy forever sign. Is that awesome?
None of that was there when we were there. That was not.
No. So this is where Debbie sits. So Debbie does, she takes care of all the photo restorations. So when you have photo restoration, she's the one that's working to make sure they're getting done and all that kind of thing. I'm going to go in here real quick. This is a conference room, but we do a lot of training in here. So when we get new employees, this is where we'll sort of give them their initial training. Sherry Meissner came up here last month and had some of her team come up. And then we're sort of going right back where we were before. I'm going to go over here real quick.
Eric, some people are asking you to slow down just a little bit so they can take in the view.
Okay. So these are the offices. Most of us sit on the floor, and it's just because we like to be in the mix. Jordan Van Egeren, who's our people development person, she does have an office because she deals with a lot of private things. But for the most part, these are just mostly guest offices. I might jump in here if I have a meeting or something along those lines, but they're really nice. So, but it's really great because when we have people come up from Pittsburgh, for a week or whatever, they have a place where they can sit and they can work from. And that's a whiteboard that I need to hang. And then this is what Glenn has titled the boardroom. So this is the smaller conference room that sits right next to his office. And this is for smaller, more private meetings. Like, when we have folks coming up from Pittsburgh to, for instance, the beginning of next month, Nathan and some of our other guys are going to come up to talk about the future of digitization. So this is where that happens. And who wants to see Glenn's office?
Yes.
All right.
All hands are up.
Yep. So, and then this is Glenn's office. And it's great because, when we were in the old building, we didn't have any place for him to sit. So when he would come up, we'd come in and visit at the building, but then he would probably usually, didn't really stay for much time because there was no place for him to work from. So now it's pretty awesome because he has a place to work from and he can spend more time up here, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. Glenn's office is very clean. Yes, they all are. But they all are clean. We try to run a really tight ship here when it comes to keeping the place clean, and we did at the old building as well. And then this is our media studio. Some of you know we've been doing a lot of our own photography in terms of product photography. Glenn's been doing his videos, basically videos and photography. So a lot of the photography that you see in the emails that go out, we did that ourselves. In fact, almost all of it, we did it ourselves. So a lot of that happens in this room here. So we have, a backdrop for videos, and there's all of our camera equipment, like all the equipment that we used at Forever Live. That's all here. This is we just actually ordered a sound booth, but this is what we used as a sound booth. So when we're recording voiceovers, that's where that happens. There's a little microphone there, and that's where Amanda sits and she does the voiceovers. So next time you listen to a video and you hear Amanda, it was done right there. And then we come back out here on the floor, look some more at some of our equipment. Over here, this is where I do the media transfers. And usually I do the media transfers just because it's something easy for me to do that I can help out with. It's a great help for them. Over here, we have our slide machines. So
wow.
These are hand built by a guy in Appleton, Wisconsin. And so basically your slide carriage goes here on the top, and as it flips through, the slide drops down, and then we're taking a photograph of it with a DSLR camera. And this is the best way to do it. There's some old technology out there. It's just not as good as doing it with a DSLR camera. So that's how we do the slides. There's another slide machine here. And then we use some of the same equipment for negatives, and it's the same guy. He invented this whole setup, and he's down in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is great because anytime we need to have something serviced, we can just take a half-hour drive down there. And then this is the negative machine. Basically, your negatives go in here, and it's the great thing about it is that it's almost touch-free. So obviously the technician is wearing gloves, but really all they have to do is feed it into this side, and then it's automatically fed through to the other side, and then photographs are taken with a DSLR camera as well. So that's how we do the negatives. We got another negative station right here. And then flatbed negatives. You hear probably flatbed negatives a lot. And so basically a flatbed negative is anything that's larger than, your standard 35 millimeter negative. And I built this, which I'm very proud of. This is our flatbed negative scanner. And basically what this is a light table the light, the light is coming from below. We turn on a light, it backlights your negative. We set it on here, and then we can sort of pin it down with these two leaves here. And then we're taking again, we're using a DSLR camera to take a photograph of your flatbed negative. And this is it. This is the only way to do them. There is no technology out there for flatbed negatives, so we basically had to invent this for ourselves. I think we used to do them on a flatbed scanner. This is much better for those. It's such a small image that you get so much more detail from this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So over here, these are cropping stations. So once the images have been captured in the stations over here, we crop every single image. In other words, we have a technician that goes through every single image and makes sure that there are no scan lines, that it was, it wasn't skewed, and, make sure we put everything through color correct, put all the negatives in the slides through dust and scratch removal. And so that's what happens at these stations here. And so we have techs that just sit there all day long, and they go through all of the images that have been scanned, make sure they look good, make sure they're cropped properly, make sure they've color corrected and dust and scratch removal, and then they get sent into a final folder. But if we don't like what we see, it goes right back over. And then they redo it here, and then it comes back over. But we're pretty proud we have a very low redo rate, which it's because everybody here cares, So let's walk around over here. These are the video editing stations. Once video has been captured in the video over here, it comes to these stations, and these are the guys that are actually cutting out. If there was some TV in there or there was some static, we'll cut that out. We cut off the beginning and the end of the video where there was blank space, and that's what these guys are doing. And of course, if they don't like what they see, they'll look at your video, and if they don't like it, they'll send it back and have it redone. That's what's happening at these stations. Then I'll come over here and we'll look at the film station. And this is where your film is captured. So if you send us 8mm film or Super 8, it's captured on one of these two machines. And these are pretty special. These are the ones that we got from the Netherlands. So these are hand built. These are made by a very tiny company in the Netherlands, and they're the only ones that make this type of machine. And what makes them special is that if you remember old film, so on old film, you remember it has those little holes on it, and that's what would run it through the actual machine. And the problem is that film gets so old that those holes wear out. And so if you get your film done at another place, you'll notice that it does that. We call it jitter. And that's because those holes have been worn out, and so it's slipping as it's going through the machine. Our machines are completely different. They run on tension instead. So you see all of these knobs here. What they're doing is they're feeding the film through, and they're using tension to make sure that it rolls smoothly. So instead of using those holes, on a sprocket, they're just using very light tension. And so that's why our film is so much smoother than what you would see if you got it done somewhere else. It has an HD lens. So this is a high definition lens. This is a German made lens. And basically what it's doing is it's taking an HD photograph of every single frame that's on, if you look at a reel of film, it's made up of little frames. They're little pictures. It's taking a high definition photograph of every single one of those frames. And then this company makes their own software. It stitches it all back together and turns it into a moving picture. So these are pretty amazing. And we're the only ones that use these. If we come over here.
That's just incredible, Eric.
It is pretty neat. This is the audio station. And so we can do pretty much any kind of audio. Some of you may remember these. That's a reel-to-reel audio player. So we can do reel-to-reel. And then, there's my generation. So we have tape, the cassette tapes. So that we have a bunch of those. There's some more cassette tape machines there. And of course, who can never forget records? LPs, as you might call them. So we can do I think we can do every speed of LPs. So 33 RPM, 45, and then there was that weird one, I think was 78. I think we do those as well. And then over here, this is where we put your orders. If you choose to have your order on a USB stick, it goes on right here. And so that's what this tech does. He sits here and he goes through all the orders and pulls them, and we sort of have it automated so he knows exactly where the order is and what needs to go on that USB, and he chooses what size that you need, and then that goes on here. We also burn DVDs here. So if you ordered a DVD with your order, that also gets burned here. And then that's that station. So then once your order is complete, it's going to move back over here to where it started. And that's where it's going to be packed up once all the parts of it are complete, and it gets packed up into a new box. We don't like using the old one because sometimes they get a little bit beat up on the journey here. So the whole thing gets packed up into a new box and then goes back out the door that it came from, which is back there. And then real quick, I just want to show you how awesome our bistro is. So anyone who wants to come by for lunch someday, let me know. But this is awesome. We didn't even have a kitchen at the last building. So everyone sat around a folding table right where a video edit was. And now we can come in here and we can enjoy a lunch. We have a grill from the old building. So once a month we do a grill out, and we can sit out on the patio if the weather's nice and just chill out there. Right now it's not so nice, but when it is nice, it's great. And then in the mornings, every morning, we have a morning meeting at 10 a.m. and we just go over what we did the day before. Like, how did we do? Did anybody break any records? Did anybody do something special? What's coming up next month? What do we think might be a problem? What might not be a problem? Then sometimes we do a trivia section, and or somebody might, play a video about something they find interesting. But that's where this happens. So we have somebody that every day it's somebody new, and they get up and they talk about the numbers and all that kind of thing. And then everybody can sit here and we all talk about that. And then these are our lockers. So everybody has a place to put their stuff when they come in. And last but not least, the most important thing, the foosball table. Because sometimes when you've been scanning pictures for 7 hours, you need a little foos. You got to get some foos. So that's the foosball table. And about once every quarter, we have a foosball tournament. So everybody in the office participates. And the trophy is the Meekum Cup.
That is awesome.
Yep. So that's pretty much the whole floor. I mean, it's so awesome to have this much space. But as you can see, we have a lot of space. And eventually, as we grow, we have space to grow. So we'll be able to extend these pods out and build, extra stations. And we plan for that. So we realize that as we keep growing, we need to be able to expand. And so that's what that's for. And, even on the other side of video there, so there's another line of racks on the other side. And when we get to the point where these two video bays aren't enough, we're all ready to go ahead and build 2 more bays on the other side of that. We're ready to double the number of photos we can do. We're ready to double the number of album pages we can do, double the number of basically everything that we can do. Back here.
That's right. Y'all hear that, everybody? That means y'all got to send double the amount of digitization to the Digitization Center.
That's right. And then back here, this is basically admin. And Allison just went to the back room because we were afraid that maybe the lights might automatically turn off because they're in a timer. So Allison's standing in the back room with her finger on the button to make sure. That's good. Allison. Everybody loves Allison. We need to go see Allison. Oh, there you are. There she is. Okay.
Easy to get lost in there.
It is. Yep. So that's where Allison sits. And I sit over there. John Lancer sits over here. Who else? Let's see here. Eric Babiars, who does a lot of the IT stuff for us. He sits over here. Vince Rebernick, who does the digital marketing. He sits right there. And And so I'm going to come back over here. And like I said, actually here are a bunch of boxes that are ready to go back out the door. So these are all orders that have been completed and packed up and are ready to go. And so they'll be picked up on Monday, sent back to their rightful owners. As I told you, these are where all the boxes, we keep the boxes here for them to build the new ones and so forth. But look at this one.
Up close.
So here's the new holiday box. And as of today, it's for sale.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we love it. We love what Megan did. This is Megan's new design for this year, and it's really cool. We've got it looks a little different from last year. But has a lot of the same design elements that our current boxes have, but we just sort of jazzed them up for Christmas. Love that gold. Gotta love that red and gold.
Yeah, that looks great. And just in case people are wondering how do they get the holiday box, a link will be posted right in the webinar post as soon as this webinar is over. So you will get the link, and I will put it in chat momentarily because it is live and it's active and it's ready for y'all to get it today. And Eric said that he's ready for double the digitization, so I think we need to make sure we get double the digitization to him.
Yes, please. And it's 40% off. So
wow, awesome.
Yeah.
I have a few questions here, Eric.
Sure.
How do you keep the areas dust free?
We dust. It's part of it's part of our daily thing. I mean, we have Swiffers everywhere, and so part of your thing every day when you close up for the day and you get ready to go home, we require everybody to Swiffer their station. And so we used to do all of our cleaning by ourselves at the old building, but now it's, this place is huge. So obviously we have a janitorial crew that comes in every weekend. They vacuum the entire place. They do all the concrete floors. Everything gets clean. But a lot of it we do ourselves, and we do that because it helps build the team. Everybody has to do it, including myself. Yeah.
I'm very disappointed. I thought you were going to give me some miraculous answer that I could take into my home and get the dusting done like that.
Elbow grease. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Yeah. I mean, we try to keep all of our stations really clean. It's part of our culture here. And it's quite honestly, it makes people, when you work in a clean environment and you're part of why it's clean, it makes it a more pleasant environment to work in.
So I know we have a few more questions, and Cindy has marked a few to ask you live. So I'm going to let her go ahead and run through those questions.
Sure.
All right. So Eric, you talked about the team, and a few people wanted to know how many people work there.
So right now we're 23, I believe, and we're going to hire one more for the season. Okay. So we have a brand new team member starting on Monday, and then we're looking to fill one more permanent position. Yep.
And do you just have one shift a day?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you anticipate doing more shifts at some point in the future?
We keep trying to become more and more efficient, and we have become more and more efficient. So, I mean, over the last, 2 years. So what we used to do, 2 years ago in 2021, we were running 2 shifts. But we don't have to anymore because we've improved the app, we've improved the equipment that we use, and we've improved just the whole process. We went, for some people may be familiar, but we've gone lean, which means that everything we do, we try to be as efficient as possible, but without disregarding even the slightest bit of quality. It's quality, but we want to be efficient. Probably won't go to 2 shifts. I personally, I would not like to go to 2 shifts because then sometimes the second shift doesn't do as good a job as the first.
And that kind of leads into the next question, which is, are the technicians cross-trained for each type of digitization, or do they have specialties?
Absolutely. They're cross-trained, and that's also part of lean, because obviously people have to go on PTO, they take vacations and so forth, but it also keeps it fun. You might be doing photos one day, and then you're going to do album pages the next day. You might do negatives the next day. You might be ingesting video one day, and you might be editing video the next day. But that's what keeps us strong and lean. And it boosts people's morale. They want to know more stuff. They want to learn stuff. They want to be good at all the stuff. And so that's why we do it. And it works really well. And I've worked at places where it's not like that, where you have one job and you come in and you do that same job every day, day in, day out, month after month, year after year. And it makes people stale, but right. It gets exciting, because there's it works really well for us. Mm-hmm.
And I just want to tell you in the chat, people are so impressed with you and with the center and with all that you're doing. So, and here, the most recent comment, I wish my management would take hints from your leadership and team building. But there are some more questions. These are more around the technical. For the quality check area, was that only for slides and negatives, or is every scan, which means printed
Every single image.
photos, album pages.
That's correct. Yeah. So everything gets cropped. Every single image that we scan gets cropped by a cropper. We call them croppers because basically they crop, but they also do all the color correct and all that kind of thing.
And
Yep.
color corrections on everything, not just slides and negatives.
No, we don't do it on photos simply because generally they don't need it. And also because, and it's a little bit technical, but when you took a roll of film, all of that film was taken at the same time. So all those negatives were taken at the same time, generally the same lighting, the same camera, and so forth. But when we get photos through the door, we might get a bag that's full of all kinds of photos. Some of them were taken in the 70s, some were taken in the 60s, some were taken in the 80s, some were taken in the 90s. So the color is different on all of them. And we found that if we try to run them through color correct, it'll color correct some of them wrong and some of them right. And so we don't color correct photos.
Okay.
Mhm.
And when somebody sends in several film reels or videos and they purchase the flash drive, do you put everything on one flash drive or is it a separate flash drive for each film or video?
On flash drives, everything goes on one flash drive. Mhm.
If we had reel-to-reel film digitized a few years ago, would it be worthwhile to have it done again? Or would they have used the tension system at that time?
So we switched to the new machines in 2020. So if your film was done before 2020, then it wasn't done on those machines. And quite frankly, it's because they weren't available. That technology wasn't available before then. Otherwise, we would have probably had it. Up until that point, it was still HD. So the quality of the actual picture is no different.
Okay.
But it just wasn't that tension system.
Okay. And can you digitize photos from the cameras from the 70s that use little reels?
The circle ones, if that's what we're talking about, yeah, we do. What are those called? Discs? Negative discs. Yeah, if they're talking about negative discs, yes, we can do them. Basically, they are a flatbed because there's no technology to actually do them. So that machine that I show you that we do flatbed negatives on, we do those circles on there.
Okay. And do you have trouble getting parts for the players like VHS, beta tapes, etc.?
It's getting more and more difficult. We have a supplier in South Carolina that we work with, and basically they buy from all over the world. They refurbish everything, and then that we buy from them, and we buy with warranties. So whenever we buy a VHS player from them, it's warranted for 1 year, and then obviously once the warranty is up, we send it back to them for service after that. Yes, it's tough. I mean, and they used to be somewhat affordable, and if I told you how much we pay for a VHS player now, it'd probably blow your mind. But you also remember that we use good ones, right? So you can go on eBay and you can get a VHS player probably for $50, but you're going to get a $50 VHS player. We use only the best ones that are still available. Mm-hmm.
And do you still offer custom services for $90 an hour? And if so, what kind of services are covered?
Yeah, I think it's 45. Yeah, it's $90 an hour. And that's for things like, if you want custom video editing, like, so for instance, you wanted all of your VHS tapes to be cut a certain way, or you wanted them separated, scene by scene, that kind of thing. So that would be something like that. What else would be? Yeah, basically just custom projects. If you sent something in to be scanned and it required a lot of extra time. Generally, if you send something for us to scan, or you send for something like that, and we see that it's going to require more time, we reach out to you and let you know, hey, is this what you want? This is probably how much extra time it's going to take us to do it, and then that's where that comes in.
Okay. And are there copyright issues with digitizing LPs?
Yes. So no, we can't digitize your record collection from the 70s with all your favorite Boston records and Led Zeppelin and all that kind of thing. What we can do, a lot of people were in high school choirs. They were in college choirs, and they got in the 70s, they would make LPs or records of your college choir recital. We can do that because those were for personal use, right? So that was, so you could take home and listen to your college choir sing. we can't do it for things like rock bands or right. There's a line there. And if you're not sure, just send it to us and make sure you write on the copyright release, hey, this is my high school choir, this is my high school band, or even with videotapes, this is a play that I was in high school, or this is a dance recital I was in, or this is me swimming with the dolphins, this is me, that kind of stuff. Absolutely, we can do that stuff. What we can't do is stuff that was produced for public view. So, movies, Hollywood movies, and that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. So what's the email for them to email if they have specific questions about things to be digitized or some of these questions?
Support@forever.com.
Yes.
Okay. So just the general support. Okay. And have you always used the system with the DSLR camera, or did you used to use a scanner?
We didn't long before I got here. I think probably they were using the flatbed scanners. And then maybe in 2016 or so, I think they switched to the DSLR system when that became available. It hasn't been around for very long. Back in the day, there were machines that Kodak built that were for scanning negatives, but they disappeared. They just disappeared because nobody was doing negatives anymore. And so for a long time, digitization companies like ourselves had to do it on a flatbed scanner. And then this product out of Appleton that I was talking about, the one that we use, that guy built that for that very purpose. He was like, how nobody can digitize negatives anymore because they don't make that equipment anymore. So he built that thing from scratch, and it's awesome. It does an amazing job.
Wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So we are at the end of our webinar time. And Eric, that went too fast.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have made
always goes too fast
a lot longer. Everybody, I put the link in the chat. I will also add it to the post, but the holiday box, it's $36 right now. Order 10. Just say it.
Please.
But, go ahead, order it. Share the link. This is welcome to be the worst kept secret. We will be posting this on the deals page tomorrow, but you have the link, so be sure to share it. It's a beautiful box. I almost want one just for display. You do get a $59 digitization credit with this purchase. Check it out. I mean, it's amazing. As you've seen today from this tour and these in-depth explanations from Eric, your memories are in great hands when they go to the Digitization Center. I mean, if I wasn't sure before, I'm sure now.
The
this is
equipment
awesome.
is impressive.
It is
very impressive.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, we have a great team here, and that's what all the equipment that we use, everything that we do here is because we have an amazing team. We just have an amazing team. Yeah.
Eric, thank you so much for always stopping by with great information and a great smile. We appreciate you so much. I gotta go because you're getting claps here from Buzzards Bay. So everybody show Eric some love. I gotta go because I gotta order my digitization boxes.
It was lovely spending time with you all. And thanks,
Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Take care.
Bye.